Ms. Brennan, my fellow students have said that doing an English tutorial is very hard. Do you believe that? Do you have any advice for us to how to do a better English tutorial?
I do, because it's very easy. Students will ask these types of questions anyway, but they think when they see the avid form, it makes it very difficult. But, for instance, that if they had to take something like describe how these Nuremberg laws were dehumanizing. So they would already have their key content vocabulary, dehumanization, Nuremberg laws. Then what they would know, they would just share with you, because they have information from their history class already. And then they would start to go through, they know what the Nuremberg law is, but they might have the confusion on, well, how do I describe how it's dehumanizing? And that would be their point of confusion. So they could actually bring that information to their tutorial and say to their fellow students, I'm confused at how am I going to show that this law is dehumanizing? And then they would have a brainstorming session with their group, and then they would actually go ahead and learn. It's kind of the same activity that we've done before, where you have just collaborative talk within your English class. So if you look, the form we pretty much already just went over it, and we did it verbally. But a lot of students think that it's difficult because it's English, that it's difficult to apply that information to this form, but it's truly not. Any questions, Ms. Davis?
Yes. Ms. Brennan, how do you get your students prepared before the tutorial the next day?
Well, I have my students, which many avid teachers do, is they have to fill out a grade check audit. So what I do with my students is I look over their grades and I decide what they're going to be doing their TRF on, or their tutorial. Because I see, for instance, this student has all B's, she has 1 D. And in her class that she has a D in, it's science. So she would be doing her tutorial in science because that's where she's having the most difficulty. So that's how I make sure that my kids are going to actually apply their tutorial to the class that is giving them the most difficulty. I don't allow my kids just to choose whichever class.
Ms. Brennan, I think that is a very good statement because personally, I do my tutorial on geometry, but I kind of have an A and I kind of understand it. But now I will try that. Thank you, Ms. Brennan.
You're welcome, Daisy.
And Ms. Brennan, one more last question. How has the tutorial process helped your students lower DF rates?
So with my students, I put them into groups and they have common information that they're working on. And so they have teams and they're working on crushing their DF rate. So right now, they have had some issues. This graph might not make sense to you, but they're working on lowering their DF rates. Like this group right now, they have actually completely gotten rid of their Ds last week. They did add some Fs, but this time they actually moved those Fs over into their D column, and then they'll slowly move those off and hopefully to the C. So I have my students really focus on those grades through their tutorials, through studying, and I have them work in teams that actually help to support each other for 4 weeks. So they stay together, same tutor, same group, and they actually are working on completely crushing their DF rate. So we're working on it. It's something that's new, but we're trying it.
Okay, you heard it here first from Ms. Brennan. Thank you very much, Ms. Brennan.
Thank you, Daisy.